Recently, I made a post on social media seeing if anyone would be willing to share their stories with me about their encounters with the paranormal. The responses I received was not anything I was expecting. Stories of dogmen, aliens, hauntings even. I've done a lot of incredible interviews with a lot of incredible people, but this is something different entirely. This is Paranormal Encounters.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of MHS Network. My name is Coleman.
I'm Byron.
And today we have a special video. It's been a while since we've done any interviews or anything, especially with an eyewitness. So it's good to kind of pick up where we left off in regards to that. Today we have a guest with us. His name is Abe. I met Abe on a Facebook page called The Christian Perspective to Bigfoot, Dogman, Nephilim, Missing 401 UFOs. And I put out a Facebook post just because I really wanted to start interviewing more people about their encounters. It's cool to interview the people we've interviewed so far, obviously, but I really just like hearing, these things from people who've actually experienced them firsthand, and just their stories. So, Abe, if you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, my real name is Abram, but my friends call me Abe, so I go by Abe Cias. I'm a paramilitary. Was in the Army 10 years. I was in the Desert Storm in the Battle of Medina Ridge. I was stationed in Fort Hood, and I left the military in Fort Hood, so I was in Killeen, Texas. That's where I was living at, where I had my encounter in Elms Grove. It's called Elms Grove Mobile Home Estates Park. It's a mobile home park where there's a park within the mobile home park. There's just like two sides to the park, and there's a creek that runs by the park, and there's a lot of woods in that area. I liked it because at that time, my son was going to be born, and I wanted him to grow up in a good atmosphere where he was going to be able to go have fun, like play at the park and go to a swimming pool. It was a nice atmosphere, so that's where I moved there. So my son's name's got the same name as me. He's a junior. But what initially happened was a nice environment. It looked beautiful. I loved it. I would go to the creek and I would see the water going down the stream. But then one day, my son was at 5 at the time, because I lived there for 15 years. So my son was 5, and he was playing on the swing set, on the slides with my friend's daughter, which they were the same age. So I told my friend, I want to show you the creek. And the creek is not even that deep. To where I took her through is probably like 5 feet in. And we were looking at the water, and we could hear him playing on the slides. And all of a sudden, we don't hear him playing on the slides anymore. We don't hear him laughing. So say, hey, something's not right. We don't hear him. So we walked out the 5 feet that we were into the woods. And when we're looking, we can't find them. So we're yelling their names and we're searching for them all inside, on that side of the park. Then we go all the way to the other side of the park and we can't find them. And then I went to the house because, he liked playing video games. At that time he had a Sega Genesis and a Nintendo 64. And I figured that he took her to play games with over there to the house, and we couldn't find him there. I asked my sister, and she said that she couldn't find him. That wasn't there. So then she came out with us, and we were searching everywhere. For about 45 minutes, we could not find them. So as I told them to go call the cops. So they started walking back home, and the sun was already setting. It was going to start getting dark. And I'm looking because I still was searching for him. And out of the distance, I seen the top of his head, the hair, because he was a tall boy behind some bushes. So I took up running over there, and I was like, son, and him and my friend's daughter were standing side by side, and I asked them, what are y'all doing here? And they were like in a trance-like state, So I had to ask them several times before they responded to me. And both of them, this is what they said at the same time. They said, the black man called us. That's what they said. The black man called us, and that's all they said. So I grabbed them, and I called my sister and my friend, and they took them. I'm paramilitary. I've been in the front lines. So I went in there looking for two things. I went looking for either an African American, because I said it was a black man, or somebody dressed in black, right? So I searched all the woods in that area. I went underneath the bridge. I went by the creek. I went on the highway, because there's a highway that goes through there too. And I searched everywhere, and I could not find nobody. The following day, me and my friend, I told her to bring her camcorder. At that time, she had a camcorder. I said, look, we're gonna go in the woods, and if you start recording, and if we see an African American or somebody dressed in black, we're gonna catch them on video, and we're gonna give the evidence to the cops so they can come after them, because they had lured them into the woods. So we went in there, we started walking down this path, and as we were walking down the path, my friend said, oh my God, I think I caught something. And she turned around and she left running out of the woods, and I was like trying to figure out why she left running. So I started looking to see if I could see somebody, but I couldn't see nobody. So we went back to her house to view the evidence. So we went back to her house, view the evidence. I was looking at the video, and I could see when she said, oh my God, I looked, and in the video you can see something looking through the trees, looking at us. His eyes were colored a certain way, kind of bright, and he had like an amulet around his neck. And he looked at us. He was looking at us, but it wasn't a person. That's the thing. It was something that looked like it was created out of Mother Nature itself, and it went straight into the ground. So it went straight into the ground, and it's like, is it? No, since it wasn't a person or somebody dressed in black, but I told her, well, maybe it's just our imagination that we're seeing this, because nobody's gonna believe you. Even if you show them the camera, they could say maybe it could be a shadow of lights, but you can see the amulet around his neck. It was like a golden amulet, right? So that happened, and as time went by, I kind of forgot about that incident, and I just every time we would go to the park, time passed by. And this is when I had my encounter. Because that happened in 2005, and in 2015 is when I had my encounter. I already knew things were happening there, but I just didn't know what to believe, because you could see certain things at certain times at the night, and from a distance it looks like shadows running in the park, and you think, well, maybe it's children playing hide and go seek or playing tag, but it's just like around 12 or 1 in the morning. Well, one evening, I was asleep, and my sister woke me up, and she woke me up because she said, hey, Abe, I think there's something happening outside. I said, what do you mean? About, I think there's something happening to a woman, because I can hear you yelling for help. So this is like around, I believe it was 3 in the morning. So I opened the door, went outside. It was fresh. And here in Texas, at that time frame, it was around October, November. It's fresh at nighttime. It was cold. And I could hear a woman yelling for help. I could hear her yelling for help, and you could hear her very loud, like she was screaming in fear, So I went inside, and I looked at my sister. I put on my clothes, and I grabbed the bat, and I said, well, I'm going to go in there and help her, because I could hear her coming. It was coming from the park. The voice was coming from the park where she was screaming for help, and she was like, "Go help her, Abram." And I said, "Well, just stay here with the kids, with my son." So I'm gonna go. So I went. I didn't take no flashlight because I wanted to go. If somebody was doing a harm, I wanted to do a sneak attack, and just catch them off guard without no flashlight. Because if I were to go in there with a flashlight, they would see me coming. So I go there, follow the voice, and I go. This is like from my home to the park. That's like almost 150 to 200 meters. It's pretty big park. So I'm walking, and I'm by the bull line, standing there, and I could hear the woman yelling for help. She's yelling for help from inside the woods, and I'm right there at that path, at the path where, the years before I had taken the recording. So I go in there and I do the sign of the cross, and I go in there, start walking slowly. I follow the path, and the woman yelling for help is sounding closer. So it's like a bend. I turned the bend, and the bend is like the woods that kind of cross over each other. Looks like a tunnel, and it's pitch dark in that tunnel. So I'm going through the tunnel, and it's dark. It's pitch dark. So I'm going there, and I'm just following my instincts, listening to the woman yelling for help, and I hear her getting real close. And as I'm fixing to swing the bat, because I hear it right by me, I'm fixing to swing the bat, the cry for help stopped. So I'm there and I'm looking. First, I'm looking because I don't want to make no noise because I still want to surprise if somebody's doing harm. So I'm waiting to see if she says, help me again one more time. So I'm looking and she's not saying, help me no more. And I'm looking and I'm looking. Then I say, does anybody need help? And I'm looking and I don't hear nothing. So as I'm looking, at that time frame, the leaves are off the trees, Texas. And I'm looking to the creek, I'm looking to see what I can see. And I'm not hearing nothing no more. But at that time, as I'm standing looking towards the creek, I get a feeling of that something ain't right, that it feels to me like it's a setup of sort. Because all my instincts kicked in at that time. So as I turned around slowly, that's when I seen them. The closest one to me was about, I would say, the path is like maybe 6 foot wide, and the closest one to me was, I would say, like 6 feet away from me, and I could see him because he was looking at me. And to me, I believe that was off male, because as tall as it was, he was looking down at me. I could see his eyes were white, and I could see his silhouette, his beastly silhouette looked like a werewolf, or what people call a Dogman. So that one's looking at me. And there was 2 more beside him, and those were like 5 meter intervals, and there were those all 3 to the right of me were all standing, and they were looking at me. Then to the left of the path, there was one that was real low to the ground. The first one that was close to me on the left side was real low to the ground. There was one that was like in a linebacker mode, and then there was one further deeper in that was looking the other way. So the only way I could get out of the path that I walked in was either I had a couple of options. Is go run straight behind me like 10, 12 feet and go into the creek, in which I believe that those to the right flank would have chased me in there. Or I could have gone to the left to the bridge to where the highway is, but I believe that those ones that have had me flanked to the left would have chased me that way. So as I'm there with the bat in the hand, I see how big they are. I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to do nothing to 6 of them. Maybe I might have had a chance with one to possibly try to do something, but it was too massive. So I just let my bat go and dropped it on the ground. So they wouldn't think I was like aggressive or that I was going to do something to them. I just dropped it to the ground. So as I'm standing there, they're looking at me. You know, they're looking at me, down at me, because I'm only 5'10" and they're huge. I say they were, as tall as they were, I said they had to be over 10 foot tall, because they were real high and they were looking down. The close one was looking down to me. So the only thing I can do, you know, because I'm a spiritual kind of guy, the only thing I can do is take my mind somewhere else, because I know that when you're in a situation, being in the military, you're in a situation where you run into a wild animal like a mountain lion or cougar, which when we train out there, we run into those, is you're not supposed to show fear. So I had to take the fear factor out of the situation. So I took my mind somewhere else, and where I took my mind is into my safe foundation, which is the spiritual side of me. You know, which I went into prayer. I started praying the Our Father. I mean, it's dark, and the only thing I'm seeing is this dark silhouettes and this white eyes looking at me. So, you know, I thought, well, I've never seen a beast like this, or are they demonic? Because of the hour, you know, it was 3 a.m. So I went into prayer. I started saying the Our Father within myself. And as I was saying the Our Father within myself, they started talking to me telepathically. And this is what they were saying to me when I was saying the Our Father. Because I said the Our Father numerous times just to get to safety. They were telling to me, this is what they told me telepathically. They said, the Holy One, the Holy One, because they were acknowledging the Our Father. So they were saying they knew who the Our Father was. They were saying, Holy One, Holy One. So as I walked in between the passageway, the same way I walked in, I walked out the same way. I could see them turning their heads, looking at me, but I didn't pay attention to them. I ignored them, and I just kept on walking, saying the Our Father, and I kept on hearing them say, the Holy One, the Holy One. And I walked out of the path, and I kept on saying the Our Father, and I never turned back, never looked back. I made it home. I think by the time I got home, it was already like around 3:20, 3:25, because the way everything happened, I had to be careful how I handled the situation. So by the time I got home, my sister was waiting for me because she was worried about me because I was gone for a while. And she looked at me and she said, what the hell happened? Because she see my face, my face was pale because of the fear factor that was there. So I went straight to the room, jumped in the shower to take any kind of the scent of any kind of fear or whatever was there off of me. And that's my story. That's exactly what happened to me. I haven't been the same ever since that, To this day, I don't know if what I was dealing with was something like werewolves or what they say, Dogman, or it was something demonic. The reason I say demonic because of the hour. The hour was 3 a.m.
Right.
So it was 6 of them that tried to ambush me, and I was just trying to do a good deed, trying to help out the woman that my sister said needed help. And it's something that I've never been the same ever again. It's different. It's like I can't go to the desert. In the military, I've been to the woods. I've been to the desert. I've been in training ice. I've trained in all territories. Being a tanker, because that's what I was. It's never been the same because what happened after that, they showed themselves to me other times after that. I actually seen them, which they looked like, and they were in the flesh. They were picking over my neighbor's SUV. One of them was brown, and it was pretty tall. That was probably like an 11-footer, because you could see the head picking over the neighbor's SUV, and it went running through a yard. And as we started following, we seen it crawling, and I said, that's not a dog, that's not a deer. What the hell is that? Then it stood up, and it was on its hinds, and it started running down the street. So me and my nephew, this after my encounter with the 6, me and my nephew, because the mobile home park is not that wide. The mobile homes, or the streets are not that big. So you can see everything nearby. It's probably like maybe 40 meters or 50 meters in between the mobile homes. So as we were chasing this brown one, there's the alpha male. The black one was standing by the tree. So when the alpha male seen us, the brown one took off a different direction, which I believe the brown one was the female. But the alpha male, which is what it looked like to us, was all muscle. It was huge. It looked at us, it turned around, and it started running down the street. The way his legs were poured inward, it had like the knees were long, and the legs poured inward. And the way it would run, he kept his hands up here like this, but it was more like of a bouncing. It would bounce. It was like a long stride, but like a bounce. Like it would take a step and it would bounce a long distance, and it's bouncing that way. And that's the way it's running the street. And you can see all the muscle form on his legs, on his back. It had a long upper torso. It had a long neck, and you can see the side of the face, the ears. I didn't see a big snout, but the way it was built, it was all muscular. It was nothing but muscle. And as we're running after it, it's already leaving us behind because its stride is longer than us. And it's like, why are we chasing this? Why are we chasing? So I stopped chasing it. It moved so fast that we could hear it go into the woods, and then we could hear the branches breaking when it's going into the creek. That was the last time that I seen them in physical form, because after that, a lot of other things start happening. I start getting attacked by an unseen force, and I'm thinking it's because they're fast, so I'm thinking that that's their territory. So it's kind of like if I was walking, go to the store, I could be walking to the store because I like to walk for exercise, and I'll hear like 3-4 footsteps, and that was it. I'll feel the impact on the back of my back, and I go flying 4 or 5 feet and tumble with my groceries. So by the time I would look, there'll be nothing there, but they were attacking me in that way. But that story, those stories are my encounters is something that happened to me, which it changed me forever, because it went from it showing me some kind of form to, at least when it was showing me its form, at least I would be able to, if I had a weapon or something, I would be able to fight because I know what I'm dealing with because I'm seeing it. But when it went into, whether it went into a cloaking mode or whether it went into spiritual mode, whatever you want to call it, when it became unseen and it started attacking me by being invisible, that's when it was scarier, because I was getting hit from all directions. But after everything that I went through, I had to leave that park. I moved out of that area 5 years ago because it was really bad. I was spiritually drained, and I was, you could say, physically beat up there for a while. I left. Something happened where what it was confusing to me is at the end, I said, what opening do I have that I'm being attacked by an unseen force? So within myself, I said, well, I thought about it, took time to think about it. And I said, well, maybe I have something I have to let go of. So I thought about people that I hadn't forgiven in the past to come up against me in a negative way. And that's what I did. I forgave people from my past, and I even asked for forgiveness because there had to be an opening for them to make their presence known like that to me, or to lure me into the woods. There had to be something. So once I asked for forgiveness, that's when the day I asked for forgiveness, and I believe God forgave me because He's a forgiving God. They made the presence known to me one more time, but they came into my house because they were already coming into my house. But they came into my house, and I could only see their dark silhouettes. In my room, it was dark, and they said they wanted to show me something. So they started showing me all these images telepathically of where they're from. They showed me of the people that were tortured, where some of this, I guess, spirits, the flesh would come off of them, like a constant torture. And they were showing me that they were from Sinai, that there were tormentors of Sinai. And they said they wanted me to do something. They said they wanted me to take my life. When they told me that, I already knew that God had forgave me. So, I'm a spiritual person. So at that time when they told me that, I told them I took authority over them. And I told them that I tie, bind, and rebuke them in Jesus' name, because they revealed to me that they were from Sinai, that were unclean spirits. So I told them I tie, bind them, and rebuke them in Jesus' name. And when I did that, they left, and that was the last of that. I tie, bind, and rebuke them in Jesus Christ's name. And that was the last time I had a encounter. Then after that, I moved out of the area. Yes, I would like to say, you're never, when you're in a situation like that, and you want to keep it to yourself, you're never alone, because the higher power is always with you. So you can always go into prayer and call upon Him to come and assist you, because sometimes we don't know what we deal with, whether it's something that's in the physical or something in the spiritual, but either way, so long you call upon Him, in that time, He'll come and assist you and get you out of safety. I want to say that. And the one thing I learned is always maintain a love foundation. Not give power by believing in something, by fearing it, or you ain't gonna be able to overcome something like that through anger. Anger to negativity, you're just gonna give them more power. So the only way you can overcome it is through a love foundation. Don't ever feel that you're alone, because there's always people like me that have experienced what you might be experiencing, and you're never alone spiritually, because God is always with you. Just like I was there alone by myself, surrounded by six beings, whatever they were, whether they were werewolf, dogmen, or whether they were demonic, I was in a situation, and I call upon the higher power to assist me out of that situation, in which I came out of there safely by praying the Our Father. So just remember, you're never alone, and you're not going to be able to overcome something that's negative through anger or fear. And I believe what I seen, that he was trying to see if he could get power over me. So they showed me the priestly form to scare me, to see if it could get an opening to attack me. But I didn't give it the opening because I went into prayer, and the prayer took me to safety.